Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Very good morning. How are you people?
Good, sir.
So what did you people do yesterday? Yesterday was being a Mahavir Jayanti. How did you spend your time?
Sleeping.
That is the most important job that you do, right? Because you have nowhere else to go, so you're doing that. Apart from that, anything productive? Okay, I'm just waiting for a few more people to join in so that I can start the class. Okay. All right. In the meantime, I just wanted to tell you what will be the topics of discussion. So today we will try to wind up, or if not today, by next class we will try to wind up module 3. Okay. So as per the syllabus, we have completed in the customer satisfaction and customer involvement part, module 3. We have completed the customer part, right, where we understood who is the customer, what kinds of customers are there, and then what are the characteristics of customers, what does a customer perceive when he looks at the product, in terms of whether it could be the quality of the product, and how does he communicate back to the manufacturer about his feelings. So we went through the topic of feedback when we try to understand the different kinds of feedbacks that a customer can provide to the. So we came across comment card, we came across questionnaires, we came across we came across employee feedbacks and all those stuff, right? Right. So we also try to understand how we can convert feedbacks into products, and we understood through case studies like that. Are you able to hear me? Hello.
No, sir, your
Yes,
voice
sir.
is breaking.
Yeah, that's what it's showing here. I don't know why it is. Uh,
Yes, sir.
employees, right? So that's the important topic that we will take up today. So motivation by itself, okay, it's a complex term. Okay, it can't be simply put in words, right? I hope we have been trying to motivate you to read, but still a lot of you don't read because there are your own agendas are different, right? Now that apart, let's try to put some English to the word called motivation, right? Yeah, somebody can pitch in. So can somebody define in your own terms what is motivation? If not as a definition of motivation, you can give me examples of what could be motivation. Yeah, different answers. I'm expecting answers. Ganesh, Harish, Renuka, Pranita, Likit, Divya, Karthik, Jarin, anybody. Okay, I mean, if you're not responding, are you all alive? I mean, online, or you're just logged in and left for your work?
Online, sir.
Online, sir.
Online, sir.
Okay,
Online, sir.
Online, sir.
good. Now, okay, now I'm getting responses. All right. So an odd question like this will motivate you people to respond, right? So this is a simple example of a motivation also. So this is one type of intimidation is also an example of motivation which should not be used. We'll come down to that. Okay. Intimidation is also a motivation. We will come down to that. Okay. There are positives to that, pros and cons to every kind of motivation technique, but still it works. All right. So motivation is a what to say, kind of a instigation for an employee to do not only what he is supposed to do, but it's a incentive. It could be an incentive for him to do more than what he is expected to do, right? For example, I give you an assignment and you write an assignment and come back, right? Everybody has to do it because it's a mandatory assignment, and then you do it and you come back to. Now, after you submit an assignment, if I basically correct your assignment and then put some remarks on your assignment, and I give these remarks back to you so that you can improve upon the mistakes or any deviations from what was expected, this feedback itself is a motivation for you, because if I don't give you the reply back, you have different ways to assume what has happened, right? So you can assume that what you have done is right, you have assumed that what you have done is satisfactory, you have completed the job. So there is a lot of assumptions that can come in, and a proper feedback can actually motivate you to overcome what mistakes that you generally do, right? So this is what is one of the things that motivation can do. Motivation can make things become better, right? And coming to the point of techniques of motivation, how to motivate people, there are various different techniques that are available depending upon the kind of work profile that exists, depending upon what kind of people are we dealing with, right? So that's why I started with the word with it's a complex mechanism, because I can't use a single motivation technique for all the kinds of people that I have. It doesn't work. For different kind of people, you have to use different kinds of motivation. And the employees in your organization are all heterogeneous. That means to say that they are not all alike, okay? And it should not be also, because if you have like-minded people, when I say like-minded people or characteristics of people being alike, creativity will be destroyed, because everybody starts to think in a one particular manner, right? So then there will be no creativity. So that kind of ecosystem will not work for any R&D based environment. So you need to have a heterogeneous crowd, and when you have an heterogeneous crowd, having the right kind of motivation strategies is very, very important, right? Now, when I say motivation, who will motivate you people? So obviously, motivation, there are two kinds of motivation. One is internal motivation and the other one is external motivation, right? Internal motivation is motivation from within. That means you get motivated by looking at something, or you get inspired by looking at something, by hearing at something, or by experiencing something, right? You go to a movie and you watch that particular movie, and in that particular movie an incident happens that you can relate to yourself, and then you get motivated to do something, right? So this is a kind of an internal motivation that you yourself from inner, you try to trigger yourself to do certain, to achieve certain tasks. Now there are some external motivators that can be done, okay? And there are a series of patterns in which these external motivators are classified. External motivation can come from people. External motivation can come from uh, different kinds of things. When I say things, it could be money, it could be chocolates, it could be different kinds of what to say, incentives that you can get, right? So, and yeah, predominantly when it comes to external motivation, the motivation that you get from different people, we call it as external motivation. And one of the most, what to say, influential people in your life are all leaders, right? When I say leaders, I'm using a generic term. It could be, the leader could be your mother, the leader could be your father, the leader could be your brother, the leader could be somebody who is a public figure, like our Narendra Modi is a leader, right? So our chief minister is a leader. All politicians are supposed to be leaders, right? Yeah. So motivation by these leaders is very, very important when it comes to employee, because we are not talking about one person. So a one-on-one interaction would be a completely different kind of a uh, ball game. But when I'm talking about let us say we are talking about a company called Railwheel Factory. We have Railwheel Factory, which is very near to our college. Let us see what would be the employee strength of Railwheel Factory. Can somebody take a guess in Elanka? I think there are no less than 8 to 10,000 people working in Railwheel Factory near Elanka, right? Now, that being the case, all our employees, okay, they work at different levels in the organization. Everybody needs motivation. So with this kind of an ecosystem that you have, supposedly a leader, if he has to motivate, so suddenly, yeah, some emergency comes up, and now there is a requirement to produce more number of rail coaches. Right now this is happening, right? Because of COVID-19, they're all converting a lot of old coaches into beds, right, into hospital beds, which can be used for the pandemic that is happening, okay? Now, in this case, how do you motivate the people to work for extra hours? How do you energize them with the thought process? So, leaders become a very important liaison to motivate the employees. Now, what they do is, there are different kinds of leaders, right? uh, Leaders, even Hitler is a leader, and then Stalin is a leader, and then I mean, I'm just giving you names of people who are very popular, okay? And Saddam Hussein was a leader, right? Yeah, he was a leader. Can also rebut on certain things, okay? Whether he was a good leader or a bad leader, he was a leader. Can somebody just classify what kind of leaders I'm talking about in generic? Were they these kind of leadership, did it work for the country? Did it not work for the country? Did it help the employees to get motivated? Can anybody pitch in with what's happened? I mean, let's start with Saddam Hussein. What kind of a leadership was that? Jarin, I heard you telling something. You can add up. Come on.
It was more of a authoritative leadership.
Very good. Yeah, authoritative leadership. Anything else? General Musharraf. Can somebody tell me who is General Musharraf? Come on. General Musharraf. Who was this person? General Musharraf was the president of Pakistan for quite some time. He was the army head. He was the general of the army, and then he took over Pakistan government, and then he ruled for almost two terms. I think around 8 to 10 years. He was the president of Pakistan. Now all these things, leaderships through army and all authoritative leadership. That means they are people who have followers and they have a system, and then they they command certain aspects of governance, right? So that is one type of a governance. Now North Korea, Kim Jong, okay, all these people are all authoritative kind of leadership, where they decide on something, and then whatever they decide is the rule of the nation, and then every citizen of that particular country has to follow. Now there are other kind of democratic leadership that we have. India is a democratic country, US is a democratic country, UK and all those people. So we have leaders, and Merkel, German chancellor, and all those people. So these people are also leaders, right? So what they kind of profess is a leadership called as participatory leadership, where not only are they trying to define how the employee should work in the organization, they also participate by, it's called leadership by participation. So they participate in the activities of the organization, and then through their participation, they try to motivate the employees, right? So there are different strategies that are available for motivation of employees, and some of the motivation strategies are very important for an organization to achieve its task. A unmotivated employee is going to not only not contribute to total quality management, but is going to destroy the whole framework of quality management. Because if he is not happy, then he is not going to contribute to the quality. He is not going to fulfill the requirements that is expected out of him, and that is going to be a complete disaster, right? So it is very important to ensure that employees are kept happy, right? So with motivation of the employee being one of the most important factors that influence the quality of a product, the next important quality is, how do you know what an employee feels about your company, right? So what could be the mechanisms through which I really try to understand an employee? Can somebody pitch in? How do I get to know an employee? What is the pulse of the employees who are working in the organization? All right. So as we try to conduct a kind of a survey with the customer to really understand about the product, about the feelings about the product, about the quality of the product from a customer, efforts could also be done to capture the feelings of the employee fraternity in general through service. Okay. So what a organization can do is, it can float a survey, okay, called as an employee survey, where they can ask different sets of questions to the employees of the organization regarding the work culture, regarding the pay packages, regarding the discrepancies, regarding racism, or whatever way the various different facts and factors or contributors to employee satisfaction. So yeah, I was about to come to that. So through these questionnaires, you try to gather information about an employee. Why do you gather all this information of the employee? To basically judge whether the employee is happy or satisfied with in your organization, right? Because we all know that a satisfied employee is going to contribute well to the organizations, right? If the employee is underpaid, let us say, he would really not worry too much to contribute more to the organization, because he feels that in this particular organization he has been underpaid for his skills, and he will always be at the lookout to find a better organization that is ready to pay more for his skills, right? So in that particular case, his what to say, contribution to this organization would not be as much as a satisfied customer would be, right? And then supposedly an employee is not being properly what to say, engaged. So when I say engagement, there are different kinds of employees. Some employees are those who you give a job, they do their job, they go home and they are happy to do what they are told to do, okay? But there are some employees who are what to say, external extroverts. So when I say though, there are different kinds of people, okay? Some of them are introverts, some of them are extroverts. Extroverts are those kind of individuals who have an extra bolt of energy in them, and then they try to put that energy by what to say, talking to others, by discussing with others. They are bubbling with ideas, and then they want to put forth those ideas in front of the employers, right? So if these kinds of people are there, and if there are, if you have an ecosystem in your organization where if an employee has an idea and there is no forum for him to express his idea, then not only are you what to say, losing a important idea that could grow your organization, you are kind of pushing down the morale of that particular employee, so that once the morale goes down, he will always be on a lookout for another organization that can give him an opportunity to grow, right? So all those things are various what to say, factors that can come out through the service. So you ask an employee, are you happy with your salary? And you give him options. You don't say that yes or no is, you give him a Likert scale, okay? Good, very good, average, okay, poor, and all different what to say, options you give. Then somebody wants to add up? Yeah, through those what to say, options, an employer can actually really understand what the customer's perception about the employment what to say, strategies that are there, and then how he is able to how the organization is able to keep them as there. You should also remember that when it comes to employee turnover, that is also a very important. That means to say, if you're I'm not getting the right word for it, people leave organizations, right? And when people leave organizations, there is a department called HR that recruits new people, right? Now, when new people come in, they come in with new ideas, then they come in with new energy. So that's the positive point of having new people. But at the same time, when new people come in, they will also try to disturb an ecosystem that already exists in an organization. So there is a fair amount of what to say, trade-off that happen when employees leave, and retention, okay, and when employees come into the organization. So it is not very conducive for an organization to have a very high what to say, attrition rate. That means the rate at which people leave the organization, if it is very high, the organization will suffer from creative disturbance. So when I say creative disturbance, that's a disturbance that arises out of new creativity. See, what would have happened is, in the what to say, model of development of any product, in the flow, or we can say that in the development life cycle, people sit together, they discuss, they brainstorm, they bring out points, they discuss of the pros, the cons, and everything. They brainstorm, and then they come to a judgmental point that okay, this is the right set of points that will lead us to a successful product, and they go ahead trying to produce the products with similar characteristics. Now, if the people change, then what will happen? Perceptions change. right? This will happen if you are a group of 5 people, friends of five members, 5 members, friends are there who have been together for the last 3 years. What you people do is whenever you get together and if there is a free time, you decide to go to a movie. Okay, right. So all of you would have always known about each one of you, and you know what are the, what to say, likings and dislikings of each one of you, and you would really, all of you would really very fast come narrow down to a particular decision and then take the decision. Like you want to go to a movie, or you want to go to a restaurant, you want to go to a coffee shop or something, you decide and you go there, right? Because you already have, what to say, your shared thought process that is already gone. But imagine every time 5 new people come together and you try to decide, most of the time it will be chaos that will be emerging out of that particular thing, right? So employee surveys try to give you various different kinds of inputs on what employees think about the organization. It will give the employer a hint about is what is there, not there in the organization, what needs to be fulfilled. Gaps can be fulfilled through surveys. And however, with all of them, you are trying to achieve one thing that is called as employee satisfaction, right? So employee surveys are no different from customer surveys, except with the point that the customer takes you for granted, but the employee does not, right? An employee has a pre-built loyalty built within it. With the customer, you try to imbibe, not rather than imbibe, you try to input loyalty in the customer, but with an employee that is already there, it's a pre-built or a, by what to say, it's a default characteristic of an employee to be loyal to the organization. But organize, organizations and employers should try to build upon this loyalty into a next level of factors. That is more important. Now, uh, if you, for example, if I give you, you join in a company as a intern, okay, and then after your internship, then you what to say, become an employee of the organization. You are in a particular position for the last 5 years in that particular organization. Let us say you're well paid for your post, and then you have been doing your job well and all those stuff. Now, of course, you get your annual increment and all those stuff. You're happy. Would you like to stay in the same kind of an environment forever? And that means every year you get your increment, you're given a job, you do your job, you get appreciation for your job, and everything is happening. But would you like to keep doing jobs the same way as you are doing forever? I take for granted that everybody would say no, because you want to grow in your career, right? You want to grow in your career. You don't want to always be at the bottom level of the employee chain, right? You want to grow up the channel. You want to become a leader at whatever different levels that you're on, and your what is aspirations would be at one day become the top level management of that particular organization. But I'll take it by default, okay, because that should be the aspirations of every employee. Now, that being the what to say, employee's pulse, that every employee wants to grow in the organization, you can't what to say, the system or the infrastructure or the framework does not allow you to do that. So how do you do it? How do you ensure that everybody in the organization is happy? So there is something called as empowerment that you can do, okay? Empowerment is a delegation of power that an employer can give to the employees, okay? That kinds of brings up a feeling of what to say, upliftment in the employee, right? So supposedly, yeah, you're all working in an organization, and then suddenly your team leader is sick, and then he is on leave. Then your next level higher manager comes and tells you, okay, you take up the role today, in charge team leader, right? So you have been empowered with a position, if not permanent, at least for a temporary basis. Now these empowerments will actually motivate the employees to do much more than what they are doing on a regular basis, right? So empowerment is another various important characteristics of an employee that can really motivate employees to do better than what they are performing now. There's another, see, every topic that I want to discuss is a elaborate topic, and we will try to do this in a much detailed manner once we reach out there. Okay. But working in teams is the most, important thing of an organizations. People can work alone, right? And people can invent things alone also. But an organization would always recommend employees to work in teams, and when it comes to and it has proved that working in teams is more contributory to an organization than individuals contributing to the organization, right? So because you carry people along, okay, so each one has a different kind of skill sets, or different kinds of exuberance which can be exhibited, and then as a team you can put together brilliance of all these people and then achieve miracles, right? So that is what happens. So working in teams, strategies of teams, what there are there is a different ball game of strategies on how a team should be framed, what should be the kind of mixture of people in the teams. It should be heterogeneous, it should have people from different sexes, people from different origins, people from different races, how all these things can contribute to a creative work environment, how conducive it is going to be, and yeah, a lot other things we will try to make up. So teams, working in teams and framing teams is a very important topic of employee management, right? Next. And many a times employees have a lot of ideas that can be, because even when he goes to a cycle shop, okay, repairing a cycle, he would have learned in a particular manner because his boss would have taught him how to repair a cycle. Okay, let us say a chain is getting loosened up in a cycle, and then you go to a cycle shop, and he has been taught how to repair it by his boss or somebody like that. Okay, but in the process of doing this work for a period of 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 6 years, he would have found a better way to do such a certain, repairing the cycle or any other things, right? So how can he actually put forth this improvement in the work cycle, work profile to the employees, so that everybody, because organizations like, let us take a rail wheel factory, 1,000 people do the same job every day, right? If it is an individual doing one job, making modifications to the work profile will not make any massive change to the production line or anything. But when it comes to mass production, and then if 1,000 people are employing a process, okay, and if there is a improvement in the process that can reduce the production time, that can give a way, lead to a lot of efficiency, and then reduction in cost and all those stuff, right? So that being the case, providing a platform for the employee to put forth his ideas, a suggestion platform, a suggestion forum is very, very important, right? So suggestion system, a system where employees can suggest different changes to the work cycle is very, very important. Okay, so this is an point to be noted, where there are different mechanisms through which suggestions can be elicited, right? So you can have a suggestion box, you can have a one-on-one meeting, you can have a huddle, okay, where huddle is a small group of people meeting for a very small time of 5-6 minutes, and then discussing some crucial points and all the stuff. So there are different mechanisms you can take in suggestions. Now, once suggestions are taken, what should you do with the suggestions? There are two parts to that. After you take a suggestion, you brainstorm the suggestion, find out that whether the suggestion is really going to bring any efficiency. If it is going to bring some efficiency, one part of the cycle would be to implement that with everybody, so that you can scoop up the benefits out of this particular suggestion. The other angle at which you should also look at us, what should be the incentive to the employee who suggested that suggestion, right? So there should be a reward system also that should be there in a particular organization. And this reward systems, it could be monetary, it could be what to say, benefitary, and it could be tangible, it could be intangible. Some kind of a benefit mechanism or a reward mechanism must exist in an organization to reward such suggestions and practices that can really make some change to the organization structure, right? And yeah, okay, so it could be rewards, could be sharing, making him part of the organization's what to say, like giving him some shares of the organization, giving him some part of the gains that is happening. Okay, so you make all the employees as shareholders of your company. So all these are various different strategies that companies can what to say, use. Now after using all these strategies, I'll come down to that. The next topic is performance appraisal. Again, another strategy, strategy, another mechanism through which you really upgrade employees from one level to another level, right? You can't have, if 1,000 employees are there in the bottom level, and after 10 years, you can't make all the 1,000 employees go to the next level, right? So there are ways in which you have to upgrade. You will find out who has certain skill sets to move to the next level, and this is done through appraisals. Now appraisals could be a monetary benefit that you are passing on to the employees, or it could be, appraisal could be a level changer that you are giving to an employee. So there are various levels of how to say, appraisals that are possible. Different, at different levels, the appraisal mechanisms are different, right? So there are requirements to be fulfilled by an employee to basically apply for appraisal. And then if he fulfills, the employee fulfills those requirements, then, and if there is an opening that is available, then he will be upgraded to the next level. Okay. Then there's a topic of unions and employee improvement, unions for employee improvement, right? Unions are usually associated with these blue collar employees, and all those unions are there to basically reach out to the grievances of employees, right? Because when I'm talking about thousands and thousands of people, any decision taken by the top management might not literally convert to the benefits of the employees. So unions is is a organization where the employees make their own groups, and then they meet, and then they discuss and communicate to the employees. Now all said and done, all these things are all pointing to one important aspect, which is employee satisfaction, right? So I think the 45-minute time is almost up, so I'll wind up. So when we meet in the next class on Thursday, we will give a concluding topic to this particular module, right? So I hope that today what we have covered is all those points that are leading to an employee satisfaction, which in turn would lead to the what to say, upliftment of the product life cycle, leading to total quality management. I hope I have been the only person talking today, and I hope you people were good listeners, and then convert this into notes and prepare for your